Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I appreciate having you here. Let me reward you with some news. Some of the things we'll be discussing here today, guys, is we have set photos on the new Jurassic World movie that is currently being filmed. The Curse continuing on with Marvel's Blade. What the heck, man? And some really awesome photos of the set of Superman, kind of giving you an idea of what the DCU is going to look like. And it's exciting. Really, that alone so much more. So you guys know the drill. Leave your opinions. Come on now. If you've never commented on a video, it's time for you to comment, buddy. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that like button, because it makes me feel good inside. But alright, kicking things off here, let's start off with a trailer that released this weekend that I was so curious to check out. Paddington in Peru. This is the third Paddington movie that we've gotten in what is so close to being a perfect trilogy. The main reason I was wanting to see how this movie was looking or gonna turn out is because we have lost the director, Paul King. He directed the first two Paddington movies to perfection, moved on to a Wonka prequel with Timothée Chalamet, and now we have a new director at the helm with Paddington in Peru. The movie is being directed by Dougal Wilson, and for the most part, I think the trailer looks really good. Maybe it is my knowledge of knowing it's not Paul King at the helm, which is why it feels slightly off to me, or like it's missing a bit of that whimsical charm, or maybe it's just the new different direction for the movie, because instead of it mainly taking place in the UK, they are going to Peru, obviously with that title, to go visit Paddington's Aunt Lucy, except she has wandered off into a mission in the forest. Crazy old lady bear, man. Don't you, yo grandma, go wandering off onto the street. Hey, get back here, grandma. And from there, the Browns will follow along Paddington. I feel like this will still turn out good. I mean, even if it's just half as good as the other two movies, that's still a pretty big win. But I am curious if anybody else maybe felt like something was missing from this trailer, or like things felt a little bit off, and maybe it's that Paul King magic. Let me know what you guys think. Moving on here, something in the entertainment industry that I found fascinating that I understand might be boring to some, but give me a second. We had an article pop up here letting us know that Sony Pictures acquires Alamo Drafthouse Cinema in landmark deal that puts studios back in theater game. This is actually a really big thing, guys, for a couple of reasons. For one, you guys know, I've mentioned it before, I live in the Dallas area, and in Dallas the last week, they closed all the Alamo Drafthouse locations. It was pretty devastating because when I did my review for The Watchers that is on the channel, literally the next day after seeing it at Alamo, they closed all of them. I was like, that was my last time in Alamo, dang. But the other big vested interest in this, it had actually been illegal for the past 75 years for studios to own theater chains. It was part of something called the Paramount Consent Decrees. And this was mainly to stop a lot of shady business practices, because like, imagine if Warner Brothers owned AMC, the things they could do were like, oh, when Barbie's coming out, any other theater not going to be playing at our theaters that weekend. Or heck, we're going to give you a lower ticket price if you see Barbie this weekend instead of another movie from a different studio. There were so many reasons on why that was a good thing at the time, and some people are still seeing this as like an early sign that we are doomed, that bad things are about to happen with studios now being able to buy theaters. But I think right now this is a good thing. Sony just kind of saved Alamo, who was filing bankruptcy. They mentioned in some articles that they're attempting to now reopen those theaters in the Dallas area, which, like I said, is about 5 to 6 of them, all filled with dozens of employees. So Sony right there just saved a bunch of jobs. And you got to admit, at a time right now where we're constantly talking about our theaters dying, is the general public no longer wanting to go to the theater, having the studios financially invested, I think only further pushes the agenda for theatrical movies and less streaming stuff. For all the bad stuff Sony does, they are one of the only studios that still believes in theatrical experiences. They have not created their own streaming service. So I'm kind of interested to see how this turns out. Now, there's only about like 34 Alamo Drafthouse all throughout the US. Other articles say that they have initiatives to open up more, and now that they have that Sony money, they probably can. But I'm thinking about the possibilities of, like, you know, Sony makes televisions, projectors, they have technology. Imagine they start implementing that now into their theater going experiences. Will we actually see small shady business practices go down? I honestly don't think so, because right now all studios basically have to work together right now to make sure people still want to go to the theater. Until things get better, I don't think they can afford to do any shady things like, oh, we're only playing Madam Web in Alamo, so go and pay a ticket. They're gonna have to play nice. But I also understand the people who are like, I don't think this is a good idea, because once things get good and they're profitable again, or they're making all that money, that's when we'll start seeing some shady stuff. But just like how we had that law come in place, some regulation has got to happen to make sure no shady things go down. But I'm curious to hear from you guys. Now that this is no longer illegal and that studios can purchase theater chains, do you see this as a good thing, or do you think this is just the beginning and in a few years we'll remember this was a bad idea and we can't believe we let it happen? Moving on from there, we got kind of an interesting update with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. You know, he's been in the news a lot lately for several different things. One from peeing in bottles on sets of movies to then completely changing his facial appearance for his new A24 movie, which he did get injured on. Hope he's all right. But now we got another kind of interesting update and turn to his career. Variety here has it reported that Dwayne Johnson and Danny Garcia's $7 signed Disney First Look deal to develop theatrical and streaming films. Essentially what we're being told here is Dwayne Johnson is partnering back up officially with Disney, and this deal allows him to now appear in movies like the Marvel Universe, Lucasfilms, and Star Wars, or original projects for theater or Disney Plus. And one of the main reasons I find this interesting is because you gotta admit, Dwayne had himself an ego check when he lost out on the DC Universe. I feel like he's still recovering from that, and he seriously thought he was going to be the face of that world, and now he's heavily pivoted to like wanting to take serious roles, which trying to win his first Oscar over there at A24, and now this Disney deal. I don't know. I really wonder if he wants to get back at James Gunn in the DC Universe for letting him go and is gonna try to get some sort of major Marvel role. But it feels also like more and more I talk about Dwayne Johnson in movies, the more people in the comment section are just not really that excited for anything he does. So that we'll see if anything good comes from it. How are you guys feeling about Dwayne Johnson getting this deal with Disney and what it could mean for his career? Bringing us here now to talk about Jurassic World 4 or Jurassic Park 7, however you'd like to title it. We got an article here from Variety confirming that today they have begun filming this new Jurassic Park movie. It says here that they'll be shooting in Thailand, Malta, and the UK all at the same time. The main reason they'll be doing this shooting all at the same time is because Universal is desperate to hit their release date of July 2nd, 2025, which has kind of been the main concern around Jurassic Park fans, is how fast they're rushing this movie, to the point they lost a director because he wanted to throw some ideas into the movie and they were like, we just need somebody that can steer this thing on autopilot. And well, along with some of these photos that we've been getting that I'll show you here of them actually filming in these locations, this Variety article actually gives us the most concrete details about the film, and this movie has been shrouded in a lot of secrecy, so it's kind of nice to get some idea of what's going to be happening in the movie. So they have here in the article, with a script by David Koepp, the new movie is touted as a complete fresh take, launching a new Jurassic era, following 3 adults and 3 teens getting stuck on the island. The new film has also been labeled as Jurassic World 4 and Jurassic City. This is kind of big. Now remember, this is coming from Variety. This isn't a rumor, a scoop, or whatnot. This is as concrete details as we're gonna get right now. And just that idea of 3 adults and 3 teens getting stuck on an island, that's caused some people talking. For one, the Jurassic Park community is slightly upset because we're going back to another island. We're doing this formula for the 7th time. Like, come on. You set up a whole trilogy of dinosaurs everywhere, and you're going to take us back to an island. All right, whatever. I'm also wondering, with them labeling it as Jurassic World 4, does this confirm then it is a sequel to the last trilogy? And I don't mean following the same characters of like Owen, played by Chris Pratt, but I mean like just taking place after that trilogy, because there's been rumors that this could be a prequel, that maybe it takes place in the early Jurassic Park days, whether before the first movie or somewhere between the first trilogy. And that would explain why David Koepp is the one who wrote the script, because he wrote the first 2 original Jurassic Parks. I'm kind of interested on that. Also, they bring up again the rumored title we've talked about, Jurassic City. I still wouldn't mind that, but I thought maybe that would imply that we're finally going to be seeing a Jurassic Park movie in an actual metropolitan city and not just another island. But I can't lie, there's excitement in me for another dinosaur film. I just hope it's good. You guys hear these little details on Jurassic World 4 and some of the set photos. What can you make from it? Bringing us here now to discuss this update with Marvel's Blade. This movie is cursed, it's doomed, is it ever even going to happen? Over the past couple months, heck, since the last 4 years when the movie was first announced, there has been nothing but delays, pushbacks, people hired, fired, fired over and over for Blade. We're trying to figure out, why is it so difficult for this movie to be made? And well, the latest update that we got from the Hollywood Reporter says Marvel's Blade loses director Jan Dimanche. He was the second director attached to the movie, and now the movie will have to find a third director to take its chair. It's currently on its 6th writer of the script, and man, I just can't believe it is this difficult for this movie to be coming out. Now, I have heard some rumblings online from my movie scoopers in the industry, and they keep hinting at that Marvel's Blade is supposed to be a very important movie for the MCU. The hints they're throwing at is that Blade is essentially going to be the beginning of their Avengers team up, the Midnight Suns. And so that they really need to land the story of Blade correctly to lead to that team up movie. And that is why it's been such a difficult film. I mean, you could see all these delays, struggles as a real negative and a curse like I do, but you could also take it as Feige really taking his time for this movie, because they have a release date and they're like, yeah, we're not going to rush it like that Jurassic Park movie. We're going to make sure this thing is cooked to perfection before we release it, or else the Marvel fans gonna cook us. So as bad as this is, in a weird way, it's still good news because they want the movie to be good. But man, every time something like this happens, I'm just like, Mahershala Ali, is he gonna want to stick around for this mess for when it's finally ready to be made in 2040? And, you know, this also got some people talking with the rumors that Jordan Peele had talked to Marvel Studios. Could he now be up to direct Blade? You know, Jordan Peele probably wants that. I'd be all up for it, but I don't want to get my hopes up. We'll see what happens. But Blade, man, somebody needs to get this curse off. Bringing us here now to talk about some DC updates, specifically with Superman. Over the past couple of days, we have seen some set photos get released online where they're turning the streets of Cleveland into Metropolis. And although we kind of already got a look at Metropolis from that first photo of David Cornsweet in the Superman suit, I am now surprised at the direction James Gunn is going in, but man, do I love it. Looking at a lot of these photos, you'll notice like the fonts, the look of the streets, the things that they're even selling, television and hi-fi stereos. It seems that James Gunn is going to create a retro futuristic feel for Metropolis and the DCU as a whole. I freaking love this. One of the things I really want from the DC universe is for it to not feel like our real life. You know, I'm fine with Marvel doing that. We have locations like New York, LA, Miami, all those kind of stuff, right? But with the DC universe, they have fictional cities. They have Central City, Metropolis, Gotham. I don't want it to be one of those worlds where they also have Gotham and New York City. They have Metropolis and they have LA. I'd rather live in a world that's completely fictitious that I can just immerse myself in, and James Gunn is doing that here. We have not seen any cars yet, but looking at some of these photos and streets, it's looking like we might get something similar to the Superman animated series or other art pieces of Metropolis, where it looks like a very high-tech, old school world. It's future retroism is what they're calling it, and that's what I'm really hoping for. I didn't get that vibe from the first look photo. It honestly looked like a pretty average city, which disappointed me a bit. But I guess up close or down on the streets, it is gonna have that feel. I can't wait to see what kind of cars start driving by, because I remember also loving Tim Burton's Gotham City. That's got to be one of my favorite comic book looking cities in all of cinema. So I'm so excited to see this. And you know, at the same time, this is going to be a trend. We've already gotten a look at the retro futuristic world of the upcoming Fantastic Four movie from those posters. You know, Marvel's going to make that look expensive and crazy. So Superman's already going to have to compete a little bit with the alternate world that the Fantastic Four are set in. But this also makes me excited for whenever Gotham gets shown to us, because it's not going to look like any Gotham before it whenever Central City or all these other cool places get shown in the DCU. Let me know how you guys feel about these set photos. But that is all movie news we clearly have going on right now, guys. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of my day to watch me talk some movie news. Don't be forgetting to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.